When you hear the word trunk, your mind might wander in wildly different directions. You might picture the back storage compartment of a car, a heavy wooden chest from old pirate movies, or even the long, flexible nose of an elephant. And yet somehow, they all share the same name. But why? Why do we call the storage space in our vehicles a trunk? What's the history behind this everyday word we use without thinking? Today, we're diving deep into the surprising story of the trunk, its origins, its evolution, and how it became a permanent part of our automotive vocabulary. Let's explore right here on History of Simple Things. To understand why cars have trunks, we first need to go back centuries before automobiles even existed. The word trunk originally comes from the Latin word truncus, which referred to the main stem of a tree or the torso of a body. From this came the idea of something large, solid, central, and capable of holding or supporting important parts. Over time, this meaning evolved. In medieval Europe, a trunk became the name for a large box or chest, typically made of wood and reinforced with metal bands, used for storing valuable belongings, clothing, tools, or even weapons. These trunks were the primary luggage of the era, long before suitcases, backpacks, and modern travel bags existed. They were big, square, durable, and meant to protect whatever was placed inside. And because they often traveled with people on long journeys, the trunk became a symbol of personal storage and secure transport. Now fast forward to the 1800s, a time when horse-drawn carriages were the main method of transportation. When passengers traveled long distances, they carried their trunks with them. But because these chests were so bulky, they weren't stored inside the carriage. Instead, they were strapped to the rear exterior. If you look at old carriage designs, you'll notice a designated platform or rack at the back specifically for holding these wooden trunks. This is the earliest direct connection between the word trunk and the rear of a vehicle. The trunk wasn't built into the carriage. It was literally the traveler's personal chest attached to the outside. So when people traveled, they would say something like, "Load the trunk onto the back." The placement of the trunk at the rear became so common that people naturally associated that space with storage for a trunk-shaped container. Then came the early 1900s and the rise of the automobile. The first cars didn't have built-in storage compartments like we do today. Automakers simply copied what people were already used to from carriages. And so, the earliest cars included an area behind the passenger seats where travelers could tie down or attach their wooden trunks. These were not yet metal compartments. They were literally the same trunks people had been using for decades. Some cars even came with aftermarket leather or metal containers shaped like traditional trunks that could be bolted onto the back of the vehicle. These early automobile trunks were external add-ons, not built-in parts of the car body. Drivers and passengers continued using the word trunk because it simply described the object they placed there. As auto design evolved, car manufacturers began integrating storage spaces directly into the vehicle's structure for better security and aerodynamics. By the 1930s, built-in rear storage compartments had become common on many vehicles. But even though the wooden chest had disappeared, the name stuck. The built-in compartment inherited the term trunk because it served the same purpose as the old travel chests, a secure place to store belongings during travel. This is how the modern car trunk was born, not because of its shape, not because of its function, but because of a wooden box that used to sit on the back of horse-drawn carriages in early automobiles. Interestingly, not everyone in the world calls it a trunk. If you go to the United Kingdom or other parts of the Commonwealth, the same part of a car is called the boot. This term comes from the boot locker or boot box on early carriages, a compartment where servants stored boots, tools, and other gear. So while Americans inherited the practice of storing large travel trunks at the back of vehicles, the British inherited the term associated with carriage equipment. Same location, different history, different name. It's a great example of how language evolves based on culture, context, and habits. But the story doesn't end there. The word trunk has become one of the most versatile terms in the English language. It still refers to storage chests, to an elephant's nose, to the central part of a person's body, and even to the main stem of a tree. And if you look closely, all these meanings connect back to the original Latin truncus, something central, something that holds things, something foundational. An elephant's trunk holds and manipulates objects. The trunk of a tree holds its branches. A travel trunk holds personal belongings, and the trunk of a car holds whatever we need to bring along. So the next time you pop open the back of your car to load groceries, luggage, tools, or whatever else you're carrying, remember that you're engaging with a piece of history. You're using a term that traces back to ancient language, medieval travel, horse-drawn carriages, and the earliest attempts at automotive design. What seems like a completely ordinary everyday word is actually a reminder of how human habits, technology, and language evolve together. The trunk of your car today may be made of steel and molded plastic, but its name is rooted in a world of wooden chests, long journeys, and travelers who needed a safe space for the things they valued most. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.